My name is Vijaya Bhaskar. I'm a wheat researcher based in Teagasc Oat Park. Today I'm going to talk about herbicide resistance on wild oat based on samples submitted prior to 2025 harvest. In total, we received 49 suspect population. The population came mainly from Wexford, Carlow, Kilkenny, Wicklow, Leash, and the Meath and Dublin region. About 80% of the samples came from continuous barley fields. All population were grown in glasshouse in replicated trials. We sprayed them at the recommended label rates when plants were at 3 to 4 leaf stage. We tested 4 ACKs herbicides, the likes of Axial, Falcon, Stratus and Centurion Max. We also tested 2 ALS herbicides, the likes of Pacifica and Broadway. And Broadway was applied at 2 rates, 200 grams per hectare, the recommended label rate used in spring, and 265 grams per hectare, the recommended label rate in winter. The results I'm going to show now are 28 days post-spraying. So first, these are untreated controls. These plants did not receive any herbicide treatment. Okay. These are the plants. All the 49 populations were tested with Axial at recommended label rate. As you can see, we see some growth checking effect, but it did not control the population. So most of the population are resistant. What's more important is that in some population, we see a mix of dead and surviving plants. The product has hit the plant, but they have recovered. Okay, this shows that the resistance is still evolving, and if the current management do not change, the population will move towards full resistance. Okay, the same 49 population were tested with the likes of Falcon, and you can see again a very little response in many of these populations. But we also see some of the population that are totally sensitive. Then we see some of the mixed population, as you can see here, the alive and dead plants both within and between the replicates. Okay. Again, if the current management do not change, these population will move towards full resistance. Okay. So the same 49 population were tested with the recommended label rate of Stratus Ultra. Compared to Axial and Falcon, you could see fewer population survived, and many of the population, you could see that Stratus Ultra was very effective. Okay, the same 49 population were tested with the Centurion Max. As you can see from here, Centurion Max were very effective in almost all the population except one. So this population was showing resistance to Centurion Max. I suppose wild oats being an exoploid and self-pollinating mutation that cause resistance to the likes of Axial, Falcon or Stratus may not necessarily affect Centurion Max. However, as you can see here, we can have some exceptions. Let's now look at ALS herbicide efficacy. These are all the same 49 population sprayed with the Broadway Star at 200 grams per hectare, and then the same 49 population sprayed with the Pacifica at the recommended label rate, and the same 49 population sprayed with the Broadway Star 265 grams per hectare. Okay, as you can see, in almost all the cases, the ALS herbicides were effective except one where the population showing a degree of tolerance. So as you can see, this population survived Broadway at 200 grams per hectare. The same population survived Pacifica, the recommended label rate, and the same population that showed a degree of tolerance to Pacifica. So out of all the population, suspect wild oat population that are tested to date, we find ALS herbicide to provide sufficient control. This is the first case where we are seeing resistance in not full resistance, but a degree of tolerance in wild oat population to ALS herbicides. Wild oats, like blackgrass, are noxious weeds, and cultural and non-chemical control options, the likes of crop rotation, stale seedbed, androgging, use of recommended label rate, mission hygiene, and biosecurity are all critical. Should be your first line of defense. Herbicides should be used judiciously, and where necessary, in severely infested fields, I suppose more drastic actions, the likes of crop destruction, overcropping, or the use of grass lace has to be implemented to prevent further spread. I suppose if any of growers or advisors dealing with the uncontrolled population and they wanted to get their samples tested, by all means they can send the samples to Work Park and we will get back with the results.